Okay, in this video I'm going to show how to read a program, how to write a program, and how to monitor using either F1-20P or F2-20P. Both have the same operation. And also I'm going to show how to clear the program, how to delete all the program that's inside the PLC. Besides, I touched this topic in previous videos, but I'm going to show it once again. So, in case of the monitor, it may have some slightly differences depending on the PLC that you are using. In my case, I'm using an F20 PLC, so it has some limitations when compared to F1 and F2 PLCs. So let's go to the video. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to show you both keyboards, F1-20P that's here and F2-20P. As you will notice, the main keys are the same between these two keyboards. The difference in F2-20P are the keys that are used for storing the program in a magnetic tape that we used in previous videos. But besides that, all the rest is the same, okay? So I'm going to show the operation using this keyboard, that's F1-20P, but if you follow the same instructions for F2-20P, it will work. Just exactly the same I'm going to explain for F1-20P. Okay, so before powering the PLC up, the PLC that has the keyboard mounted on top of it, just be sure that you have selected here in this selection key the correct series of the PLC that you have the keyboard mounted on top of it. So in my case, I have F20 PLC, so my key is totally down here, selecting this last position here, okay? If you have an F40, it must be in the middle. If you have an F1, F2, it must be to the upper top. So the same happens with the F2 keyboard that I have here. So it has the key here. And you must select according to the PLC model you have here, okay? Okay, so once you do that, okay, in my case, it's already selected, the correct model. So let's power it up. Okay, so when we power up, this is what is going to be shown on the display, on the keyboard display. Okay, so first I'm going to show you how to read the program that is inside the memory. Okay, so in order to do that, it's important that you be sure that the PLC is not running. My case is not running. As you can see here, the run LED is off. And so the next step, you must put the key to program position. So down, you put this switch down. Okay. So once you do that, the next step is just to make sure that you are in the beginning of all the operations of all that may be done with this keyboard. You press clear. Okay, so clear, it goes to the beginning of any sequence of keys that you may press. Okay, so next step, if I'm going to read, and let's assume I'm going to read from step 0. So what I'm going to do is to press step, then 0, and then I press instruction. There we go. So here is the instruction that's loaded on step 0. So if you intend to take note of this instruction by hand, now it's a good time for you to take note that on step 0 you have, in this example, load X0. Okay? So to go to the next steps, you just press step plus here. And then you go to next steps. Okay? Okay, so this is the procedure about how to read a program that's inside the PLC using either F1-20P or F2-20P. The operation is the same as I showed here. Okay, so let's assume now that you are going to put the program that you just read to another PLC, but first you want to clear this PLC memory, this PLC that's going to receive the program. So in order to do that, to clear the program, that means delete all the data, so be sure that you really want to do that, okay? So what you have to do. So first of all, you must keep your keyboard in the position program here, clear, so you go to the beginning of the operations of any sequence keys here. So after that, you press step 0, and must be 0, okay? And then you press step 477 in my case, but if you have any different type of PLC that has more memory than this amount, that in this case of this PLC goes from the step 0 to step 477. So you must put now the last step of the PLC. So once you do that, you press delete. So once you press delete, all the program is clear. You may check that once again, repeating the reading operation that we just did before. So I'm just going to do that. So clear, then step 0, and then instruction. As you can see here, you have an NOP instruction. That means no operation. That's what's written when you clear the memory. It puts like instruction 0 in all the positions of the PLC memory. Okay, so we now are sure that the memory is totally cleared, what means it's filled with all NOP instructions from step 0 to the very last step of the memory of this PLC. Okay, so let's assume now that I have my memory cleared on the PLC and I have this program that I may take note, for example, from reading previously from another PLC or something like that. And I'd like to input this program inside this PLC using the keyboard. So now I'm going to show you how to do that. What will overwrite whatever is inside each step of the PLC memory. Okay, so of course I'll have to input in instruction list format because we cannot input as a ladder, but just for information, this is the ladder that corresponds to this instruction list I have here. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm going to keep this program here to the right side, and I'm going to show you how to write or overwrite what's inside the PLC and the steps numbers that I put here. Okay, so to do that, first thing, make sure that your key is in program position. Of course, make sure also that you are with your PLC in a stop mode, it's not running. Otherwise, you cannot do this procedure here. And just to make sure that we will start from the beginning of the sequence keys, the operation of the sequence keys here, I'm going to press clear. There we go. We may press several times. That's okay. And then after that, I'm going to step 0. So in order to do that, I go to step, press step, and then 0, and then I press instruction here. Okay, so this is what's inside the step 0, and I'm going to overwrite with load x0. So to do that, I press LD and then 0. When I put 0 here, it's assumed that x0 because there is no T0, for example. T starts from 50. So every type of device starts from a specific address. So 0 is automatically an X. So that's why I just put load 0 here. Okay, so after I do that, to confirm that I will write this instruction to step 0, I press write. When I do that, the keyboard automatically shifts to the next step. As you can see here, it shifts to step 1. So I can go forward and put the next instruction. So out is the next instruction here. And then now I'm going to type 50. So 50. 50 is an address of a timer, so I don't have to put any T here. Okay, so right, and then it shifts to the next step. So now let's move forward and let's put K, that's here, and put the time constant, that's 2.0. So 2, and then the point is here, point, and then 0. There we go. So right once again. So next, load T50. So load T50, load, and then 50. 50. And write once again. Now I'm going to write out Y37. If I put 37 as the address, automatically 37 corresponds to an address within the Y types of devices, what means an output. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to put an out here. There we go. So then we're going to type 37. So 3 and then 7. And right. It shifts to the next step. So now I just have to put an end here. So I'm going to press end and then right. Okay, so everything is finished and I just wrote my program. If I'd like to check what I did, if I type it correctly, I just press step minus here, and then I will see what are in each step of the PLC. Okay, so that's how you write a program and check what you just type it in. Okay, now let's check if my program is actually working. Okay, so as you can see here, this program is very simple, and to test it I must just activate X0, and after 2 seconds it will activate this contact, and then Y37 will go on. Y37 is here. Okay, so this is the very last output here, and X0 is this input here. So what I will do is just I'm going to pass it to run mode, but to pass it to run mode before I must disable the program mode in keyboard. So I will put it on monitor mode, and once I do that I can put my PLC to run mode. So now it's already working, it's already running the program that I just inputted in the PLC. So let's see if it's actually working. So I'm going to turn X0 on, and after 2 seconds you see that the Y37 turns on. If I turn it off, immediately it turns off. Once again, 1, 2, and then it turns on. Okay, so the program is working. Okay, so let's imagine now that I'd like to monitor, for example, I'd like to monitor X0, I'd like to monitor T50, I'd like to monitor Y37 to see if they are turned on or turned off, and to see their status. Okay, so let's start with X0. Okay, so to put to monitor mode, first of all, make sure that your key is in the upper position here. So what means monitor? Then just to make sure that you are in the beginning of the operation of the keyboard, press clear. Then what you're going to do is that you're going to type the number of the device that you would like to monitor. In my case, I'd like to monitor X0, so I'm going to press 0 here, and then I'm going to press write. That in monitor mode means monitor. That's on the top here. There we go. So once I do that, it's already monitoring X0. If X0 is on or off, this LED will turn on if it's on, or will be off if it's turned off. In this case, it's turned off. As you can see here, the LED is not lit. So if I turn on X0, you see here, it's kind of dim, but you can see here that it's turned on. Okay. Okay. So in case of Y37, we can do the same. So we press clear, then we press 37, and then we press monitor once again. There we go. So if now I turn this X0 on, you can see that after Y37 turned it on, this LED just turned it on. Okay, so let's turn it off. Once again, you see that the LED goes on when the Y37 turns on. So let's see now for the timer. The timer has something a little bit different here, as you will notice. So I will press clear here, and now I'm going to type the timer. That's 50, F50. There we go. And then monitor. You'll see here that it shows 2.0. 2.0 is the initial preset of this timer. So it will show here what's the current time of this timer. This timer, once you activate it, starting from the preset, it will start to count down until 0. When it reaches 0, then it will turn on a normally open contact, such as this contact here. So what we will see once we turn on the X0 is that the T50, the current time of T50, will start from 2.0 and it will count down. It will go down up to 0. Once it's 0, this contact will turn on while we keep X0 on. Okay, once we turn off X0, it goes back to the initial preset and the operation may be repeated. Okay, so let's try to do that. So here we have 2.0. We have the expectation that once we turn the X0 on, it will start to count down. It will start to count down. There we go. So you will see that when it reaches 0, here it shows the LED turned on because the timer reached its final position, that's 0, when it's counting down. Okay, so if I turn it off, it goes back to 2.0 and you may repeat the operation once again. Okay, so let's imagine the following situation. So it's another situation related to write, but in a different way, that we're not going to overwrite something. So imagine this situation where you have to add a contact here to the original program that's in blue, and you have to insert an end contact, what means a contact in series with X0, a contact of X1. So in the instruction list, this means to add an end X1 instruction just after the load X0. So one may think that we will have to rewrite everything because it will overwrite the out T50 that used to be on step 0, on step 1 actually, and then we will have to shift all the instructions down. But this is not necessary because this keyboard allows an operation of insert that will automatically shift everything down in the instructions that you already have in the memory. So let's put this aside. So what I have to do now is that I have to insert on step 1 and X1. So to do that, so now make sure that your PLC is in stop. Okay, so now it's in stop. And change it to program mode, the keyboard, change to program mode. Let's press clear. Then we will go to step 1. So step, and then now I'm going to step 1, instruction, and here we have the Alt T50. So to insert a new instruction here, I just press, in this case it's an AND, so let's go press AND, and then I'm going to press 1, because it's X1. So now, instead of pressing write, I'm going to press INS for insert. Okay, so you will see now that the Alt 50 was shifted to step 2. And now what we have on step 1 is an AND X1. Okay, so I didn't have to rewrite everything. Okay, it just inserted here a new instruction and just shifted all the instructions down to accommodate this new AND X1 instruction here. So if we go step 0, load X0 is there. So AND X1, Alt T50, and then K 2.0, and so on, so forth. Okay, so whenever you want to write it, but inserting something, instead of pressing write, you press insert. Okay, so let's see if our program is actually working. So now to do that, don't forget to put it back to monitor position. There we go. And then I'm going to put on run my PLC. And now I have to turn X0 on and X1 on. So if I do that, after 2 minutes, Y37 is turned on. If I turn off either X1 or X2, it's enough to turn the timer off and immediately turn the Y37 off in this case. There we go. So it's working. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoy and see you in the next one. Bye bye.